I'm William Instone. I'm the writer, the director, and the actor that played the Hogman in the upcoming feature film Butcher's Bluff. I am going to be on the Movie Rage show to talk to you about my next project called Caught My Eye. Make sure you're sticking around to the whole show because we're going to show the proof of concept trailer at the end, and you don't want to miss that.
Hello, I'm William Instone. I'm a writer, director, and actor, and you are listening to the Movie Rage Show.
It's time for the Movie Rage. Tonight's victim is writer-director William Instone, that has done several indie films, such as Butcher's Bluff and Caught in My Eye is the latest one. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. So tell us a little bit about Caught in My Eye. Now, this is a horror film. This is currently on Indiegogo, and there's a trailer out there floating around. And this is pretty gory and psychological. Can you tell us a little bit about the story without giving too much away?
Sure, yeah. It's a proof of concept. We threw this together. It's basically a fake trailer. It follows the killer called the Goldilocks Killer. It's a psychological thriller, like kind of Silence of the Lambs-ish. Goldilocks is basically a deranged, steroid abusing psychopath that cuts off women's hair and puts it into his wig. He wears a doll mask. He's just crazy stalker. And basically we start the whole first part of the film following him and his rituals, and we kind of go from his POV about how we dive into his mind, and we kind of have the detectives researching it, trying to investigate what's going on with him, and then he finds his next victim, which actually is led to him by one of the detectives. I can't get too much away. But then we pivot. It's kind of from till dusk till dawn. Like halfway through the movie, he's there to kill his next victim at this house. You know, it's the typical girl house sitting out in a secluded area. You know, I like to throw nods at those old 80s, 90s movies. And he's up in the closet, and the house is raided by home invaders that are going to rob the place because you find out there's $5 million in a safe at the house. So now you've got these home invaders in ex-presidents masks like Reagan and Nixon and Carter and all the classics. They don't know that there's a serial killer that's insane up in the closet who is pissed off that they just ruined his ritual, and now he decides he's going to kill all of them. So the girl is caught in the middle because she doesn't know who he is, why he's helping her. So she's helping him, and the audience is just like, don't know who to cheer for. On one hand, you've got a group of despicable guys who are robbing the place, but tell her they're not going to kill her. And you have a psychopath in the closet, what we know is going to kill her. So that's kind of what's going on. I've never seen a film like this before.
Well, that's very cool, man. And can you tell us a few of the cast members that's involved with this main story? It seems like there's quite a bit floating around in this trailer alone that's going on and pretty chaotic. And as well, is there any other cast employees as far as like the music or anything else that you care to add to that?
Well, I mean, as far as to add, I don't have anything locked down with LOIs yet to be able to say. I definitely have a wish list. And I've talked to a few people, but no one has actually, signed on to that. The ones I can say, actors that were in my film Butcher's Bluff have come back. I got Bill Oberst Jr. from Circus of the Dead, Three from Hell, and Jeremy London from Mallrats. Got him involved. The Paul T. Taylor, who was Pinhead in Hellraiser Judgment. Those are three of the ones that were all in Butcher's Bluff with me. And then I've got my lead actress is a young, talented girl named Lexi Graves. You should be watching out for her. She's in the trailer. She plays the girl in the trailer.
This film is based on from what the trailer shows. It's such a deep charted territory with its main killer, especially exploring fetishism, exploring obsession. And how much did you actually spend time with this character alone? Just trying to have the right combination as far as the motive and for the main role of just the main center of the story itself without actually being the good versus evil type scenario.
We started making this film in 2011. It was actually started as a short film, and we got most of it completed. Then our actress got cancer and ended up having to leave Texas, and she sadly eventually died. So we never finished the film, and it kind of got shelved. I was able to get somewhat of a film put together. It had a beginning, middle, and end. So I did do a film festival with it. I believe we only did one festival, and I actually won an award for it. So that was pretty cool, but I was never really happy with it, and I just didn't feel like the story was right. So it got shelved, and then years later, yeah, we just always kept going back to like, man, I really want to do something with that killer. And he wasn't called Goldilocks back then. He didn't wear a mask or anything. It just kind of started falling together. I guess the main thing was I started researching BTK, the Bind, Torture, Kill killer, and Goldilocks is heavily influenced by BTK. He's influenced by Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs and Norman Bates from Psycho. Those are like the three main people he's based on. And as far as like research, it's just I've done a lot of watching documentaries and stuff about serial killers, and so because of that, it's not been that much of a far stretch for me to come up with these ideas. Plus, I worked for 22 years in a strip club. I was a strip club DJ, and I know a lot of the weirdos that would come in there and some of the things that they did and the stories that some of the girls would tell me of fetishes and kind of strange things that the customers, it kind of just all influenced me.
With this film, plus Butcher's Bluff and a few other of your other works, do you feel that it can actually be better to regain the money that was spent on these films, including after this film, of course, by stringing them together almost a bulk package for potential revenue on other parties that might be interested in investing this later on along the line?
Well, there are some distribution companies that do that, and I know anthology films are actually doing that. I know a lot of filmmakers are getting together and doing shorts, like 15, 20-minute shorts and putting them together as an anthology so they can all make money that way. For me personally, I would say no, because I can't make a short movie. Butcher's Bluff is 2 hours long, and it looks like Caught My Eye is probably going to be about 2 hours as well. I'm first and foremost a storyteller, and I want to tell the story. So I don't sacrifice the story for gore or shock value or any of that. But I'm also I have to toot my own horn, but I'm a skilled editor. I can make the film cut together and be paced properly to where it's not boring. So that's one of the things that with Butcher's Bluff and the film festival circuit, it did quite a few film festivals, but it was rejected from a lot of film festivals. And the number one reason was because of the running time. It was 2 hours long. But I know the festivals that I did get out to, and the people that have seen it so far have all said the same thing, that it never felt like 2 hours to them because of how you paced the film. And that's something I'm proud of. So to answer your question with that, for me personally, I would say I would know as far as bundling my films.
With this film, is this pretty much in the same hometown as you? Is it based in Texas for the most part, or did you have to relocate in certain ways due to the unfortunate events that happened?
Oh no, man! I base everything in Austin because it's just I'm gonna be one of those Robert Rodriguez types. I have no plans on leaving Texas, and so I like to base my films in Texas because also it's a pretty iconic skyline that we've got going here in Austin. So all the city shots are going to be downtown Austin and pretty recognizable. So I don't try to write outside of it. Also, as an indie writer, some of the best advice I got when I was first starting was write what you know. And I know this area, so that's what I do.
Now, using the Indiegogo to fund for this current film, Caught in My Eye, do you feel that an indie artist can actually be taken advantage of, even when they are low budget? Could they actually potentially be harmed in a way by using some of these, even though it could help to a degree, but at the same time, you're probably going to be spending more money than what you asked for.
To do Indiegogo, you think they spend more money than they get? Not in my experience. Indiegogo doesn't cost anything. So, you can do it free. It's a donation platform. And actually, it's not donation, it's backing. It's a contribution background. They're backers. They're backing your product. I've never lost money on it. I can say that. I haven't always made my goals in the past. I've had campaigns that fail. And yes, you can find yourself being put in a bind if you don't reach your goal and you decide to move forward with your film, then yes, you are in debt and you have a responsibility to pay back your backers and to honor the perks that they bought. In the past, if I never made my goal on Indiegogo, I would just refund the money and not do it. And I will be honest, the first Butcher's Bluff campaign that I did failed miserably. and I refunded everybody. But then I recouped, spent about another year networking, and kind of figured out how the platform works. And I was very successful. With my first campaign, we raised $40,000, and then the finishing funds, I raised another $21,000. You are going to get hit with some taxes from the site, but no. To answer that question, in my experience, no, I wouldn't think that using a platform like Indiegogo is negative in any way. That filmmakers should use, especially in the low budget place, because people are, especially in the horror genre, the fans are just great and they want to support you and they want to back you. And if you've got a product or a film that's marketable, I think you get a lot of success going that route. And you don't have a lot of people with their hand in your pocket because you independently raise your funds.
And there's always a fine line between failure and success, and everybody, regardless of what you do, well, it'll eventually happen at some point in your life, and it might happen multiple times. But how do you feel like you should take something that did fail and try to make it a success, or do you feel that sometimes what happened in the past is something you learn rather than having to progress?
I mean, I could say Butcher's Bluff failed. Like I just said, originally it was failing. I wasn't able to get backers for it. And I just didn't give up. I would say, if you feel in your heart that it's something that you truly believe in, and just don't give up on it. Because if you don't quit, then you don't fail. You only truly fail if you quit. But then you have to be honest with yourself too. There might be a reason. If you continue to try to push something and it continues to fail, then there might be something to it. Because art is subjective. You could think is brilliant and a masterpiece. Everybody else in the world might disagree with you. That's a hard one, man. That's really a hard one to answer. I mean, me personally, like I said, I don't like to give up on something, especially if I believe in it. I don't tend to put out projects or even try to put a product out if I don't truly believe in it and have multiple people. Like for me, when I write a script, I have multiple people read it that have no skin in the game, no reason to lie to me. So I try to get opinions and feedback from people to see if it's even something I should even attempt to pursue. Because, once you go out there and you dive all the way in, at least for me, when I dive in, I'm 100% in. I don't stop until completion. Butcher's Bluff took me 5 years to get done, but I got it done. I'll give you the scoop. I mean, just last night we signed our distribution deal. First one to hear this publicly. And so it will be on all the streaming sites, physical media, all that stuff. And it was a long, long time. And I think a lot of people might have thought that it wasn't going to happen. But I just kept pounding the pavements. And I will say that a lot of companies rejected us. But then we found the one that believed in us and wants to get behind it. And it finally happened. It was discouraging. In the end, it works out.
Do you also feel that since you yourself is a writer and the process of writing your own films, do you feel that is the more challenging part to try to get a concept or quote, sell a concept to others? When you are independent, that's incredibly more difficult just to even get funding for. But having to write it out and present it to XXXX, do you feel like that is more challenging just to get past that step for yourself and to have that creative freedom for yourself?
Well, every step has their own challenges, but yes, I would say coming up with that good idea, that marketable idea, and having the skin thick enough to give it to somebody who's going to just totally dissect it and rip it apart, that's hard. As an artist, to have someone tell you that was terrible, you need to change that. If there are people that aren't coming at you maliciously, and they're being is creative criticism, and they're actually giving you their opinion, and it is their opinion, and you as the artist have to decide, are they right or not? And usually I would take at least two people. If two people tell me the same thing, then we know that it's not just their opinion on something. So yeah, it is a challenge, especially since everything's been done. Every story has pretty much been told. You just got to put your own little twist and your own little originality on it. I think for me, I like to blend multiple ideas, which is why it caught my eye. I gave that long, stretched out explanation of it, which is probably not the best pitch I've ever given. But it's a complicated story because there's so many different stories put into one, but it all flows together. And when people who have read the script have read it, they're like, wow, I love how you connected something on the first page that comes out like in the third act. It's connecting the dots. And I think that's a lot of things with script writing. You really need to plan out your stories. Where some independents fail is they keep the story so simple, which is nothing wrong with a simple story. Simple stories are great, but sometimes it just falls a little short because, again, like I said, every story has already been told. What's making your story stand out? And I think the one thing that I've had the fortune for is that I've had iconic looking killers. Because there's nothing original about Butcher's Bluff. That story. Butcher's Bluff was, it's basically all the classic horror movies put into one. You know, my favorite slasher films. I had little nods here and there. There's an original. Don't take opportunities to deny that. Yeah, I wear it on my sleeve. And Caught in My Eye has a lot of the same things. A lot of the influences are right there in the story, but it is more of an original story. I will say that.
Do you feel influence can be a double-edged sword sometimes when creating new stories? And there's so many stories out there that have been replicated, but how many times can you tell the same story in a different way? Do you feel the same way with this?
Not with my stories, no. I don't feel like I feel like it's original enough. I just take nods, little nods here or there, just so the audience knows, okay, this guy's influenced by that. I will never say that I copy anyone. Could it be a hindrance, like you're saying, if someone is doing that route? Then I suppose, and you can think about that. I mean, Tarantino, he was basically using a lot of obscure films as his influences, and his early films were definitely inspired by a lot of the films that he saw. That's kind of where I got the idea from. I mean, it works for him. Why couldn't it work for me?
Having to get the perks and everything for the Indiegogo for this film, do you feel that sometimes, depending on the perk, that could it actually almost be actually affect the film as far as low quality goes, depending on the content? Do you feel like some of these perks that, even though they sound cool to an extent, but at the same time could actually harm the film sometimes?
Not that I can think of, especially if you keep your perks basic. I will give an example of how it could hurt the film, and not trying to talk smack on anybody, but and I'm not saying names, but I mean, some indie filmmakers cast their entire movies with a pay-to-play perk on Indiegogo where you could be the lead actor of their movie. You know, you pay them like $20,000 and you're the lead actor of their movie, and some people will pay it. And I've known some indie films that their whole lead and cast was paid for play, which I have nothing against that perk. I use it myself, but I use it as walk-ons. You get one or two lines, and it's just to help. It's to help actors that haven't gotten the shot yet get in a movie and build their resume. You give them one or two lines, and they really can't hurt if they can't act good. But if you're going to cast your film based on somebody who paid for a role and they can't act, then that could hurt your film. As far as other perks, most Indiegogo perks are not anything that I would consider to be negative or anything like that, because most of them are like buying the DVD. You're pre-ordering a physical media, or you're buying posters or t-shirts. Mostly you're just pre-ordering or buying merchandise, or you're buying credits. You're buying in to be a producer, or you buy a chance to come on set and see how the film's done. Those are all cool perks that fans like. Like, I like offer people to be background extras, because a lot of times that's all somebody wants. They don't want to be actors, but they want to see how the film is made and then get a chance to see themselves on the screen. And honestly, that's one of the most successful ones I've ever had, was just being a background extra, or just having your name. I sold that on my last Indiegogo. Like, I'll name a character after you, your first and last name. I'll say both on screen. I'll have them say your name. People love that, and I don't think that hurts at all.
And presentation is always what it's about, and when you're getting your movie out there, and then you got these perks, like, they also have to be just as much as a presentation on its own. And oftentimes, there's a lot of these perks that I've seen that are very basic, but very costly as far as a contribution to the film. Do you feel like sometimes that some of these filmmakers out there that are trying to get their movie out there with these perks or not, they're just reaching the bar too high, to almost like they're like draining the people's pockets to invest in the movie, rather than almost not delivering what they actually asked for to get these perks out there?
I would say no, only because it is something. First and foremost, your crowdfunding is to fund your film, so you can't ask more than you normally would for it. You're donating, you're helping the film happen. They're there from the beginning. And I think the people that are donating on these crowdfundings, they're fans. They want to support, and they want to feel like they are part of it. So I understand where you're coming from. As we do when we do these Indiegogo campaigns, we do ask a little bit more than what they're actually getting. But again, it is kind of like, hey, you're supporting us. We appreciate your help. This is what we can offer you, because we are on an indie level. I've never really met anybody that felt like they got ripped off or anything like that, because they knew what they were doing. Again, like you were saying, there's double-edged swords to everything. There's two sides to look at it, two other ways of looking at it. But me personally, no, I don't feel like it's out of the question to ask the rates that most people are charging. I can't say which ones you were looking at. I mean, maybe some people are being absolutely ridiculous. Say that's not happening. But I know that the people that I know, the filmmakers I know, they're usually pretty reasonable. I mean, they maybe twice as much as what you would probably cost to buy it from them after the film was made. But then again, as you do that, you're just supporting the film afterwards. You're not part of making it. So I guess it's how you look at it.
What would you consider as either a perk or X amount of perks that do you feel in your experience actually does help you benefit to invest in your film, whatever the expenses might be? What do you think that these are the kind of perks that really does kind of at least give you a good start of what you're looking for to invest in your own film?
Well, offering people the credits to be producers, people really like that. They like seeing their name in the credits, and they think like, hey, I'm a producer on that film. You know, I worked on that, even though they weren't physically there working on it. That perk really seems to be a popular one. I mean, depending on what you charge, I don't charge that much for those because you're only getting credit. And again, the pay for play, the acting part, people really love that. I mean, they really do love the opportunity, especially up and coming actors that just maybe not have the experience and are not getting cast. When they buy their way in, you know, they're paying a pretty good amount because, again, you're giving them a chance to be in your film without actually auditioning. So that helps the film a lot, I believe, because you are getting a good amount of money, and it does help you get to your goal.
Now, when you eventually, when it gets off the wheels and back into the distribution aspect of things and getting to film festivals and whatnot, do you feel that the whole term pay to play is becoming more and more almost a disgusting type of word? Because obviously filmmakers definitely don't want to just simply pay to play, but there are times, like, yeah, there are a lot of people out there that really want to get their movie out there and will do anything they can. They just got to pay it, and they go through all the motions and whatnot. But do you feel that today's filmmaking, indie filmmaking, that this is becoming more problematic, or do you feel that this has become more adaptable to a lot of other people?
Well, I think a lot of them are adapting. There's both sides to it. Bad acting can kill your film, but maybe if your story doesn't call for good acting, then it works. So, you know, if you're doing a trauma-style film where it's supposed to be ridiculous, then it works perfect. With horror, again, the fans are so good and loyal that they forgive a lot of stuff. So as far as like on an indie level, distribution, you're probably better off self-distributing a film that's in that style. You're going to probably make more money and have more success doing that, because in the end, the filmmaking business, it's a cutthroat industry. And money that was there 10, 15 years ago is just not there anymore for us. So you got to really do it because you love it, and you don't expect to get rich, you know, but you can make a living at it, especially if you come up with a character that's marketable. Like, I do a lot of horror conventions, and I sell T-shirts and merchandise for Butcher's Bluff, and it hasn't even been released yet. And I do quite well because I have a cool character. They like the T-shirts. They like the poster. They think it looks cool. They want to put it on their wall. And, you know, so I really think it's situational and on an individual basis of their success. And like anything, a lot of luck.
With this film, do you plan to do anything a little bit more special with this, or as far as distributing and doing that? Or do you feel what you're doing currently right now, like you mentioned, selling shirts and whatnot beforehand, before it's even released, you think that is really the best method to keep money flowing for anything else that you might need for this film? And when it gets ready for distribution, how do you think the process might work for you in order to succeed and get this out on physical media rather than just sitting on a indie site and just for downloads?
Right. Well, again, I just wrote my deal last night. We will have physical media. I'll be all over, and we will be doing four-wall screenings in the movie theaters. I'm actually doing a drive-in theater October 11th at Doc's Drive-In in Buda, Texas, where we'll be screening the movie. And I've done about 6 or 7 screenings of Butcher's Bluff. I've sold every one of them out, just independently screenings, not counting film festivals. So with my next film, I do believe I have a little bit more notoriety now and a proven track record than I had with Butcher's Bluff. Butcher's Bluff's my first real feature film. I did a lot of shorts. I did do a feature film. My very project was a feature film, but it never really got released. I was basically in my film school. I taught myself how to make films and made a movie that was decent. It got a pretty good reaction, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't get the right paperwork, so it'll never be released. Whereas this one, now I know what I'm doing. I learned a lot from Butcher's Bluff, what not to do, and I have a little bit wider reach now. So as far as the making time, hopefully we don't have another pandemic that slows us down. That slowed us down with the production of Butcher's Bluff. Here in Texas, we had what they called an ice apocalypse, which was a very strange occurrence that happened. The whole Texas froze, and we killed all the trees, and the movie was shot in the woods, so we had to wait for the trees to come back and get green so we could finish shooting it. And just a lot of stuff happened in that film that put it on hold, where it took a long time to get finished, where the next one's not going to have that, hopefully. And I do have outside investors now that off the crowdfunding that are waiting to see what we raise. So whatever we raise through Indiegogo will determine where they're going to come in to invest to try to help us get a bigger budget. And at that point, get us a better distribution deal.
Go ahead and plug in the Indiegogo, or where to expect to get Caught in My Eye, as well as where to get Butcher's Bluff.
Okay, well, I'll start with the Indiegogo. We're launching at this Friday. I don't know when this will be posted, but it's October 4th. It's actually the 5-year anniversary to when I actually launched the first Butcher's Bluff Indiegogo was October 4th of 2019. So 5 years later, on the same exact day, which actually falls on a Friday, which it did then as well, I'm launching the Indiegogo for Caught in My Eye. Now you can go to our Facebook page. It's Caught in My Eye Movie on Facebook, and we'll have the link on there. We're asking people if they can be there that first day and really help us with any type of contribution. Even if it's $1, it really helps us out with the algorithms for the site. It gets the people up, basically go viral and gets on the main page, and it gets sent out to more people. You can check out the trailer and everything on there. We'll have a pitch video. A lot of people aren't even making pitch videos anymore. They just put their trailers on there. We have a video that kind of explains it a little bit. We're hopefully that we'll get that done, and we'll be able to start filming by the end of the year. And as far as Butcher's Bluff goes, like I said, the paperwork was signed yesterday. I'm not exactly sure when the distribution company will be releasing it to the streaming sites, but it will be on the streaming sites. And most definitely will be on Amazon, most definitely maybe on Tubi will be on. But there's some other sites that it might end up on as well. So you can go to Butcher's Bluff, official Butcher's Bluff fan page on Facebook, or butchersbluff.com. And we'll have all of our updates on there where that's going to be screening and where you can see it.
And there you have it, everybody. That is writer-director William Instone.
What's your emergency?
I killed her. She's dead.
We got a body back there. Blonde, young, female, fucking shaved, man.
Goddamn Goldilocks. Here she is. She's number 7. Now she's dead, but not in heaven.
It's not about sex to him. It's about something else. Something more powerful to him. Rose petals, a mask, all his MO.
This shit will haunt you. You don't want this guy living in your head.
This is his obsession. He'll never stop. He wants to be seen. He wants to feel important, like he's desired by women. The odds are he's already picked out his next victim. Goldilocks. Who are you?
I know it's secluded, but thank you so much for staying with Noah this weekend. Getting away with Jonathan's exactly what we needed.
It's no problem. I love your house.
Listen, you behave, okay? Okay.
Don't burn down my house, boy.
Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. You two go have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's me again. I'm currently babysitting at this big house in the middle of Nowheresville. Someone entertain me.
Did you hear that noise? Yeah, I heard something. But I didn't see anything. It's really creepy.
Because we can.
Please don't hurt us.
Your daddy, he took money that didn't belong to him. Go find the damn safe. Is there anybody else in this house?
Find that motherfucker and kill him!
Why did you help me?
I like your hair. You left a message for us.
What message?
It says we're fucked.